Athletic Dads, welcome back. We are here at the kind of standing desk at the office before we get out into the training session here. We have week 3, day 3 of the Athletic Dad program that we're gonna run today. We're gonna show you what that looks like. We've shown week 1, day 1, week 2, day 2, so how we progress through that, and then now we're on week 3, so we're gonna show you day 3, so you kind of see all 3 days through the first couple weeks. We've got some mobility to start, then close grip bench is gonna be our main upper body strength exercise. We'll talk about why we chose the close grip bench compared to regular bench. Then we're gonna go into some RDLs and some bent over rows. We're gonna jump with that too. We got some continuous broad jumps because we're trying to be absolute savage athletes to be able to beat our children in recreational sports deep into our 50s. Depending on how athletic our kids are. And then we're gonna finish with some mobility. It's gonna be a great day. Got a lot going on, but beautiful day here in Cleveland, Ohio. And we're gonna be able to show you the facility, show you what everything looks like as we get into it. So enjoy it and let's have a freaking day. Our spine move for day 3 here is going to be a plate med ball pullover. So the setup is lying on the ground. Med ball is going to be right in between the shoulder blades. We're going to start the plate overhead. The idea is to bring the plate all the way back over your head, tap the turf behind you, and then bring it up back over your head. So a couple things we'll do here. After the setup, and we punch this plate to the ceiling, the goal is to bring this down to the ground. If I can't get there, hips are going to follow. So all the way over, can't get to the ground, hips come up, get myself to the ground, then hips are going to go down first. And then once my hips are as far down as I can, I'm gonna pull that plate back up. If you can get straight down to the turf and pull it back up, we can go a little heavier, but the goal is to extend the spine here as much as we can at the bottom, get a big stretch through the shoulders and through the T-spine, then bring the hips back down, kind of use the momentum to bring that up. So we've got 30 total reps, and we're hitting these 30 reps as we're working up to our good first working set of our bench press. All right, day 3, our main strength exercise is going to be a close grip bench press. I like the close grip variation because it's a little more stressful on the tricep. And let's be totally honest, nobody trains and thinks, oh, I hope I don't look good when I'm done training, or I hope I don't look better. So there is a bit of vanity involved. And I want people who train to actually get that piece out of it as well. I mean, that's why we do the AMRAP sets for hypertrophy, because we're trying to build lean muscle. We're trying to do the same thing here as Athletic Dads. We don't only want to be capable of jumping and sprinting and rolling and climbing, but we got to look the part too. So we've got close grip bench. Because it's week 3, we're going singles instead of doubles like week 2 or triples in week 1. We're doing singles, same percentage, so similar weight. You can probably go a little heavier. I'm about 65 to 68% here on this one, but instead of going 10 sets, 1 rep every minute, we're gonna shrink the time to 5 minutes, and we're gonna go every 30 seconds. So we've got 1 press every 30 seconds at a similar load that we've been using for the other weeks, week 2 and week 3. So we got 10 sets here, only 5 minutes of work. What's that? Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's so tiny. All right, so the last few weeks we've been progressing our secondary strength movements from an 8 RM in week 1 to a 6 RM in week 2 to now a 4 RM in week 3. We'll be able to dedicate a little more time to this because our main strength exercise, that EMOM work, is a bit shorter, being within 5 minutes instead of 10 minutes. So we've got 3 sets of 4, working up to a top set of 4, then drop off 20%, do an AMRAP. And I don't want you thinking there should be failure at the end of 4 or failure at the end of the AMRAP. I want you thinking technical failure instead of physical failure. So when the position breaks down a little bit, so as soon as I get out of this perfect RDL position, that's when I'm gonna cut it off. So that will happen on the AMRAP. Hopefully for the set of 4, I can keep it pretty tight. So I'm up on my first set here, so 315, done a couple warm-up sets, and I'm gonna do 4, and I'm gonna try to keep these reps perfect. So big chest, pull my shoulder blades back, really feeling the upper back hold a lot of this weight. And then as I shove my hips back, I'm trying to get all into those hammies and buns here. Good reset. So we're gonna take that and we're gonna pair it with a row, and then we've got a broad jump variation as well. All right, we've got our pen lay row here now, so we've got 3 sets AMRAP. We're looking anywhere between like 8 and 15 reps. A good way to think about it is when you were doing the other pull variations, so the pull-ups and the chin-ups, earlier in the week and earlier in the training program, about however many reps you were able to get in those AMRAPs is what we're kind of shooting for here. So if I have just an empty bar, I can probably do 200 before I really get tired, and then there I'd probably just get sick of it. So trying to find a good weight that you can hit for like 8 to 15 reps when you're doing as many as possible. And then as you're going, you can always add a little more weight or lighten up the weight if you don't feel like you're getting enough reps. But again, this right here is strictly for hypertrophy. So we're trying to get a crazy pump out of this. Similar setup to the RDL, but now the bar is gonna be on the ground each time. And I'm just pulling to right above my belly button, trying to keep my upper body parallel to the ground this whole time. All right, got a good 11 in there before I felt like positions were gonna break down a little bit. Last one is gonna be our horizontal jump variation. All right, horizontal jump variation is continuous broad jumps. So week 3, we've got 4. We're alternating back and forth between continuous broad jumps and single broad jumps. The difference being the continuous broad jumps, you've got to repeat those positions over and over again, and really gives you the opportunity to carry a ton of horizontal momentum. We're pairing this again with that RDL because RDL is a hinge movement, right? It's a hip dominant movement, and this is a very hip dominant horizontal jump variation. So always mark your distance so you've got something to beat. We've got 3 sets of 4 continuous jumps, and we're supersetting everything together. So we're on the jumps after the row and after the RDL. So after this one, we go back into the RDL. Cover as much ground as we can here. Start at the same spot and then mark the heels just so you know where you're going to and keeping that consistent. Good one. All right, next set of 4, 365 on the bar. Again, technically try to keep this nice and sharp so positions are dialed in. Feeling the hamstrings and the buns here. Good set of 4. Oh yeah, one more jump. Also, I'm using straps because I don't want my grip to be the limiting factor. RDLs and rows are super grippy, and using the straps allows me to hold on to it for a little longer so I can really have the muscles and the weight be the limiting factor, not just my grip. Getting short here. There's 8. Another really good principle about muscle growth is that muscle adapts the best when you push it as close to failure as possible. So 3 sets to failure or 3 sets with no more reps in reserve is gonna give you a much better response than 5 sets of 10, 20 sets of 10, where you're at a lower weight and a lower intensity. That's a part of the program. That's one of the strong principles, is be efficient, choose the best movements that allow you to progressively overload hip movements through deep ranges of motion, and exercises that use the most amount of muscle groups. That's how you're gonna get the most bang for your buck out of training. And that's strictly what we're doing here in the Athletic Dad training program. So right now, 4 broad jumps is getting us 12.5 yards. Let's get to 13 here on set 2. And I took 2 to 3 warm-up sets before that first set of jumps. 4 continuous. So we'll take it. Good second round there. All right, top set 405. 4 good ones. Then we've got last round of rows and jumps. And then 1 more AMRAP set of the RDLs. Really toast these hammies before walking out today. Ooh, good set. Last set of rows, we are nice and pumped. Let's finish strong here. We had 11, then 8. Yeah, that's a good one. Oh. All right, last set, third and final set here, 13 yards. I'm a little in front of 13 yards on this one, so we're gonna try to beat this. We're gonna try to cover some distance here. Ooh. All right, we dropped 20%, takes us to 325. We've got an AMRAP here going to technical failure. So as soon as I either slow down a ton or positions start to change, that's when we cut off. All right, here we go. Yeah. Yeah. Let's get one. Huh. Ooh-wee. All right, second to last movement here is going to be a strapped up hang. So we're going hands on the bar. Again, using the wrist straps. I don't want the grip to be the limiting factor. I want to use this as a upper body, lat, T-spine, shoulder mobility exercise. So we're going 60 seconds on the hang, using as little support from my feet as possible. So if it's pretty gnarly, you can have your knees slightly bent and your feet on the ground or your toes on the ground to kind of take some of that pressure away. If you feel good, strap these up, feet off the ground. We're going for a minute. Oof. Oh, so good. Makes you an inch or two taller as well. I don't know if you guys watch any competition reality shows, but this always seems to come up. Survivor, Beast Games, recently this came up, where people lost out on millions of dollars because they couldn't hang for very long. Always good to have it in the program. All right, last thing. All right, last thing we got, taking care of the knees, taking care of the quads, taking care of the tendons here. We've got this wall sit for a minute. We're going 60 seconds. We're gonna progress it in weight over the 3 weeks. Keep the duration the same, progress it in weight. So I'm just holding 25s, make it a little more challenging. We were in and out of this session in 35, 40 minutes or so. Again, that's the goal. We don't have all the time in the world to train. We wanna make sure we're super efficient. We wanna make sure that we are having proper programming to allow us to be able to come back, to have us feeling good when we leave, to have us feeling even better when we get home and get to play and hang out with the kids and the family. 10 more seconds here as we finish up. Appreciate you guys watching. Like, subscribe if you haven't. Continue to follow the Athletic Dad journey. Program's coming out soon. Continue to practice gratitude. Tell the people that you love them, and you live your life stimulated. See you guys on the next one.